Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kim SANTOS if you're new, or if you're not new, hey, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back. I'm just gonna address this first and foremost. I'm sorry, I've been away from YouTube. Once again, I just kind of fell off, but you know what? I wanted to come back today and do an exciting video. And what I wanna do today is a comparison and review of the two new hydrating foundations to hit the market. And these two I am talking about is the new Fenty Beauty Pro-Filt'r Hydrating Foundation, and as well, the brand new Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous Foundation. So what I'm gonna be doing today is comparing these two bad boys on my face. One side's gonna be ABH and the other side's gonna be Fenty. I wanna see how these two foundations perform on my skin, compare them to one another, and see if one hydrating foundation is better than the other, or if they're at the same level. So just to go over the format of this video, I'm going to be comparing prices, swatching all the foundations, talking about the different shades, the shades that I'm in, and comparing it to other foundations I use in my collection. I'm going to be showing you the application process of these foundations. After I apply the foundation, I'm going to be doing a wear test. I'll be updating you guys on how the foundation looks throughout the day, but I'm going to be using my iPhone 8 Plus just so you can kind of see what the actual foundation looks like through a cell phone camera in different types of lighting, because realistically, if I was to show you with these lights and this camera, you're not getting the full justice in how good or how bad the foundation will look in natural lighting and just on a regular day-to-day basis. I'll then give my final thoughts. I'll probably be out and about, so I won't really end off the video in this kind of setting, but hey, that's like a foundation review. So we're gonna get started. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button. So without further ado, let's do this foundation comparison with the new ABH Luminous to the new Pro-Filt'r Hydrating Foundation from Fenty. Let's go. Let's start off with our contenders, pricing, formulation, and the description of the foundations. We're going to start off with the ABH Luminous Foundation. Now, on the box it says it's vegan, cruelty-free, alcohol-free, clinically tested, dermatologist tested, optometrist recommended and tested, non-comedogenic, suitable for sensitive skin, long wearing, and also no flashback. That's a nice claim. You don't really see products in general saying they have no flashback. It's kind of a description they say later online, but that's pretty cool. And now for pricing for this foundation, in Canadian it retails for $50, and then because the American dollar is much nicer than the Canadian dollar, it retails for $38 American. Now the finish of this foundation is a medium coverage foundation with a luminous natural finish. In my personal opinion, because I have normal to dry skin, I go for more hydrating luminous foundations. You know, if you're more oily, you're probably not gonna like these just because they're not gonna give you that longevity and they might break up during the day unless you set it really well or you use a really good primer and you just take care of your skin. Now we're gonna talk about packaging. There was a lot of criticism on the packaging of this new foundation because a lot of people said it was tacky that it says foundation on the side. I kind of like that. I just think it's funny, you know what I mean? This side is really bougie, like fancy writing, like the Anastasia Beverly Hills font, but then you turn it over and you're like, this is my foundation, bam, in your face. And honestly, it's kind of a good thing because put yourself in this scenario. You're in the other room. You're getting ready in a rush. You have 10 minutes to leave the house. You're brushing your teeth and you want your partner to grab your foundation so you don't have to go back and forth. If your partner's like mine, doesn't know what foundation is, doesn't know what concealer is, he's kind of a lost cause in the makeup department, which is understandable. So you scream to your partner, babe, can you grab my foundation? Oh, I don't know what it is. But wait, oh, I found it because it says foundation on it. This foundation just speaks for itself. You know, it looks tacky, but I think it's pretty useful for those who maybe don't use makeup and they can help you out with your routine and grab you your stuff. So A+ for me on the packaging. I do like it. The other criticism on this packaging is it's very similar to the NARS Radiant Longwear Foundation. So this is it. They look like the same component, but for me, this one has a matte top and this one's a shiny top. It's just easier to clean, personally, this one, if you get foundation all over it. And realistically, a lot of these brands have similar components for their makeup products, so as long as the packaging is not bad and it works well, I don't really care for that originality. And it's a glass bottle too, so that higher price kind of, it doesn't really justify it, but it does because the packaging's a little bit more luxe and heavy, if you know what I mean. And the final thing is the shade I purchased. I got shade 305N. It's described as being a medium skin tone with a neutral olive undertone to it. I'm gonna go more into depth and show you some swatches of these foundations compared to other foundations I currently use so you can get a better understanding of this specific shade and the undertones. I would definitely say it's more of a medium, but It has a very yellow olive tone to it, which I personally like. I know there's been a lot of complaints with this shade range that a lot of the tones are very yellow, and I kind of could see that when I went in store and saw them all in person. Originally, I was gonna get 290 or 310 because I thought those shades would suit me better, but they were sold out of those shades in store and online. But anyways, that is that on our first contender. And now in this corner, we have the new Fenty Pro Filt'r Hydrating Foundation. This foundation is described as a hydrating medium to full coverage for all skin tones, long wear, light as air. And then the price of the Fenty foundation is $45 Canadian and $35 US. I really like the packaging on the new foundation. I thought it was gonna be much smaller. Like from the pictures online, I thought the bottle was gonna be shorter, but it's actually pretty large. So this is the foundation here. I'm gonna compare it side by side with the matte one. So as you can see, the new foundation is way taller than the original. They both have that same kind of vibe to it. The white cap, the clear bottle, the matte's frosted, and then the hydrating one comes in that tube. This one's so dirty. Once again, I really love the packaging on this bottle because it's a pump, you know what I mean? I feel like this one's better to travel with. You're not gonna break it if you drop it. It's not gonna leak or break in your luggage, so I quite enjoy that. Now we're gonna talk about the shade. So in the matte foundation, I was purchasing 260. Now the 260 shade is kind of a light to medium neutral tone, but since I got 290 in the new hydrating shade, just because it matched me a bit better, I went up 3 shades. This one is described as a medium tone with an olive undertone, and that's kind of what I gravitate towards. Now, when I was swatching the matte to the hydrating, it looked a little bit off. So it was stated that the Pro Filt'r foundations, both in hydrating and matte, are the exact same shade. So whatever you are in the matte shade, you'll be in the hydrating. But when I swatched the two, they looked a little bit different. I think it's because the matte foundations were oxidizing much more than the hydrating ones. So I found the matte one was a little bit darker than what I anticipated with the hydrating one. So that's just something to note, something that I kind of looked at when I was swatching this stuff. I found that the undertones in both of those foundations looked pretty similar, but that's just something to mention. So once again, I got the shade 290, but now I'm gonna move on and show you some quick swatch comparisons of these foundations to other ones that I use. So these are the two foundations swatched next to one another. This one right here is 305 in the new Luminous ABH foundation. The one right next to it is the Fenty Hydrating Foundation in the shade 290. Now by looking at the swatches, they both have a similar texture, but I definitely can see the Pro Filt'r one having a little bit more coverage, just like it said. But that being said, the ABH one looks a little bit more dewy than the Pro Filt'r Hydrating Foundation. And by these swatches side by side, you can definitely tell 305 is a little bit darker in the sense that it has a little bit more warmth and orange tones into it. It still has a little bit of olive, but it's definitely more on the warm side of an olive. Versus 290, it has more olive tones to it. Now, the next swatch I'm showing you right here is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk in the shade 6. This one is my go-to foundation, what I like to use every single day. It has that beautiful olive tone to it. Now comparing these 3 swatches right here, it has a little bit more yellow tones than the Fenty, but I would say the Fenty foundation is more comparable to the Giorgio Armani than the ABH one. Now the 4th and final foundation I swatched on my arm is the Dior Backstage foundation in the shade 2W Warm Olive. This one has a little bit more yellow than the Giorgio Armani. As it starts to kind of dry out, the Giorgio Armani starts to get a little bit more green tone of an olive. But these are all foundation shades I could use for myself that I know I could get away with, and that match me pretty well. So once again in order, the new ABH Luminous foundation in the shade 305N. The second one, the new Fenty Pro Filt'r Hydrating Foundation in the shade 290. My usual Holy Grail foundation, the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk in shade 6. And then finally, the Dior Backstage foundation in the shade 2 Warm Olive. So I've kind of zoomed you guys in a little bit, and now I'm going to be applying the foundations. The method I'm going to be applying these foundations with are both with a beauty blender. The blending sponge just applies it the best way possible. If I use a brush, sometimes I get streakiness from a foundation. So the lighter, more luminous and dewiness it has to it, the better a sponge will to press it really in and give you that smooth appearance. I'm going to start off with the ABH foundation, and we're going to apply it on this side of the face. So this will be my left, but on the screen it'll be your right. Now I'm just gonna pump some out to my back of my hand. gonna dab in there and start going. Now to prep my skin, I just moisturized and I let it soak in. I put a little bit of SPF on because that's what I do every day. Use your sunscreen, protect your skin. I'm just going in now all over the face. Like I said, I don't really use primer, but you can see that dew. Oh, I love a good dewy foundation, guys. Like, I'm sorry, it just, so good. Well, we're gonna see how good it is, but I just love the look of it. The gradient looks really well to my neck. That's why I was okay with this foundation shade. I feel like maybe 310 would have been a little bit nicer because it didn't have such a warm tone as it appeared online, but they just didn't have it in stores. I find that when I swatched it on my arm, it looked more orange, and then when I put it on my face, it looks a little bit more golden, like even on camera and in person. But it's applying really nicely. So far, I've used 1.5 pumps now. Just wanna build up that coverage because I don't wanna use much concealer today. I'm only gonna be putting concealer on my under eye because that's really where I put it. I'm not gonna put any on my nose or my forehead, just on the under eye so we can get the best results with this foundation and really test it out. And it doesn't have a scent to it, which is nice. So that is the ABH Luminous foundation on in the shade 305. Now we're gonna move over to the Fenty 290 and the profilt'r Hydrating. Again, just using the sponge. I feel like this one has a little bit more fragrance. It smells completely different from the matte foundation. It kind of smells like a cake or something, but not like overwhelming. Like it's not very strong. I noticed that compared to the other foundation. So you can definitely tell this one looks a little bit more warmer and this one looks a little bit more neutral, but they both are pretty good in terms of matching to my neck. Again, I'm gonna use 1.5 pumps. So these are both the foundations on ABH and Fenty. Just by looking on camera and in person, I feel like they both give hydration, but I can see a little bit more luminosity and shine with the ABH one. You can kind of see like on my cheek, I have a little bit more of like a glow, you could say, like more luminous, and especially on the forehead area when I look straight on. The Fenty one on this side, you can see that glow as well, but if I'm looking dead on, I see just a little bit more shine in the ABH one. But they both look really dewy. The shades are kind of coming together, so they're not too off, like it doesn't look like a straight line in the middle of the two different types of foundation. Now, the more I'm kind of moving my mouth, I'm starting to get a line on the ABH side. I'll zoom you guys in so you can see. So when I talk, like let's say, obviously like I'm smiling, like I'm gonna talk throughout the day, but just like looking at the ABH one, I'm starting to crease on my mouth over here a little bit. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but I can see a little bit of a line, like a smile line forming from the foundation. The Fenty side, I don't see that yet, but to be fair, this one's been on my skin for a little bit more. Also, just a disclaimer, yeah, I have a mustache, haven't plucked it, but you know what? That's fine. You can see like the lines kind of formed with this foundation. Versus the Fenty side, I'm not getting that intense creasing yet. You never know. Another thing to note about the ABH foundation, they say it's a foundation you don't really have to set. It kind of sets itself. On my face, they don't feel like overly dewy, but I definitely feel like some of the foundation has came off. Obviously, I'm touching my face, but nothing rubbed off. But that's the foundation on so far. I'm now going to zoom you out and start using other products with this foundation just to see how it works with other products. I'm just gonna apply some concealer under the eye. Just a little bit. I'm not gonna apply it anywhere else. I just wanna make sure that I have the most coverage under there. This is what I would do on a normal basis, and I'm using the Born This Way concealer in the shade. And the concealer I'm using is from Too Faced, the Born This Way in the shade Golden Beige. And this one is more of a hydrating full coverage concealer too, so it'll pair nicely with both of these hydrating foundations. Now that my concealer's on, I'm going to be setting my face just so lightly. This is what I would do on a normal basis, and I feel like I like to do this because it's summertime. Naturally, if I go outside, it's gonna be hot. I'm gonna get a little bit sweaty. So I want the dew to still be there, but just to set it lightly so, you know, it has a better chance withstanding and lasting all day. So I'm just gonna lightly, I don't bake, I'm just gonna lightly dust it all over my face. The powder I'm using is the Maybelline Fit Me in the shade 10. I'm gonna grab this very small loose brush from Smashbox. I'm gonna quickly just dab into that product, shake it off, and lightly go over my face. Okay, that's good for the ABH side. Now we're gonna go with Fenty, Set That Girl. I'm just gonna go over my smile lines and press that in because I know I crease a lot there or above my lip. Currently right now, since I've finished my whole foundation, it is 12:46 in the afternoon. So we're gonna see, I'll give you a couple updates on how the foundations are looking and let you know and start this wear test. So this is like all my makeup done. Definitely a difference from what I was looking like before, but I've been wearing the foundation for an hour. When I completed my makeup, I set my face with the Dewy Set and also the Dermablend setting spray. I did 1 spritz of each just because, again, that's how I do my foundation. Every single time I wear my foundation, I use a setting spray, so I wanted to kind of follow that along. Now, since it's been 1 hour, I can definitely, some of the first things I've been noticing is that the ABH side is much more dewy. I find I'm getting more glow, more of a shine, like a sheen to the skin. The Fenty side is still very dewy, but the ABH side, I'm getting more luminosity and dew. And as well, I am getting more creasage on the ABH side, on the sides of my mouth, just like kind of a little bit on the sides of my eyes, and a tad bit on the forehead. Nothing major. But for 1 hour wear, definitely the smile line crease is much more than the Fenty side. I don't even really have a crease on this side. That could be because maybe this is more of a dewy foundation. Regardless of, we're gonna find that out throughout the day. I'm gonna continue this wear test and also show you what the foundations look like in natural lighting through my iPhone. So we're currently at the golf range hitting balls, and I'm doing my first foundation update on the dewiness of the ABH and the dewiness of the Fenty. It's been 2.5 hours. So far, the skin looks very glassy and hydrated. It's really dewing up. I'm outside in the heat, like it's really hot outside, so naturally I'm gonna produce more oils and it's gonna look a little bit dewy. I'm not wearing any highlighter today, so that's pretty cool. I don't think the foundation's really getting cakey. Usually sometimes under my chin it gets cakey, but the Anastasia side, it's not covering as well. It's starting to break up a little bit. As you can see, I have a little, well, that's mustache hair, but there's also like some creasing going on. My forehead's not too bad. I don't know. So if you said the ABH side is not as dewy as this side, the Fenty side, right? You said this was more shiny? That's more shiny now, right? I don't know. I think you're kind of right. I didn't even put on highlighter today, so it's getting really dewy. You think it's one foundation on my face, right? I like your foundation, Sophia.
Thank you.
Looking good. And then these are the foundations in pure sunlight. Just direct sun. So I just see a little bit more creasing with the ABH side, if anything. But apparently the Fenty one is a little bit more dewy, according to Sophia. Kind of feel like they're both a little even. But we'll see. Stay tuned for the next update. Okay, so it is currently 6:44. It's been 2 hours since my last update for you guys. Now, what I'm kind of noticing is the Fenty side has a little bit more coverage than the ABH. It's just kind of starting to kind of dull down, but it's not bad still. Like, I'm starting to get more redness on my chin, but that naturally happens when I wear foundation. It's hard to say, like, both sides are still pretty dewy, but this one I definitely can tell it's kind of lasting a little bit more than the ABH side. But to be fair, this one, they described it more to medium full coverage dewiness, while this one was more just medium radiance. Again, mustache hair, but I have more kind of creasing on this side than I do on this one. And I find with this foundation, the more I wear it, the less creasy it looks, just because my natural oils are kind of taking up, plumping my skin, I guess you could say, like it's just filling everything more. And it starts to look obviously a little bit more dewy, and the foundation's not as fresh and full coverage as it was before. But so far, I'm pretty impressed with the foundations. You didn't think it was two different ones, right?
No.
Thought it was just one. Like, I know, but not everyone else can tell. I think also this side is a little bit darker than this side too. But not by much, like barely anything. I'll probably do another update in 2 or 3 hours just to show you how the foundation's looking then, but it's not too bad. And I like how it just looks really skin-like, very natural on both sides. And I'm not wearing any highlighter today, and it really looks like it. So it gives you that very glassy skin vibe. It's 9:04 now, so it's been 7 or 8 hours. I'm gonna say this is the last update of this foundation review and wear test, just because I want to take it off and go to sleep. So far, so this is the Fenty side and this is the ABH side. Both sides are wearing off, but in my honest opinion, I really like both of them. They have the same texture, the same finish. The only thing is, I think the ABH side creases a little bit more than the Fenty side, and the Fenty kind of smooths things out just because it's maybe not as like as wet, so it's not gonna just kind of sink in. I don't know, like it's just odd. The ABH one just creases a little bit more, but I still have that dewiness. I feel like I laid down a little bit, so some of it came off on the Fenty side. You can see a little bit of that redness coming through the ABH one. I'm impressed for the foundations being like dewy, lasting pretty long on me. To be fair, I am normal to dry skin type, so if you had oily skin, your oils would probably eat up a lot of the foundation and it wouldn't quite look like this. Like it would probably look a little bit more worn, but if you use primer and you have a good setting spray, you can make it work for sure. But I just like the natural finish of the foundation. I would recommend either. I think if you can find a good shade in either of these foundations, it's kind of all preference on brand at this point for me, and it would be more so how my skin reacts. I don't have overly sensitive skin, and nothing really happened. I didn't get a reaction from either of them, but honestly, it's a toss-up. I like both. If you know your shade in Fenty and you love it, go for the Fenty one. If you want to try something completely new, the ABH one is great. I will say though, the ABH one I found was a little bit more dewy. Like I can feel on the side of my face, it feels a little bit more oily, or I don't know how to describe it. Like I touch this one, I can feel the oils, versus when I touch the Fenty, it's not as oily on this side. So if you want one that's more dewier than the other, then I would do the ABH. But regardless of, they're pretty good, and I didn't even set it that much. If you were to bake this foundation and probably set it heavily, it probably would have lasted longer and you could have built the coverage even more. But those are my final thoughts on this whole wear test and foundation review. And now the dog's barking. But that is pretty much it for this wear test. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, so I hope you guys found this helpful. So that concludes this foundation review, wear test, and comparison and swatches of the new ABH Luminous foundation and the new Fenty Pro Filter Hydrating foundation. Let me know in the comments below which foundation you thought was better or looked better on me, or your thoughts on these foundations. I know everyone has different opinions, or everyone's experiences with beauty products are always going to be different. It's not going to be the same. So let me know yours or your thoughts about these foundations in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it, and like always, remember, sub it if you love it. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. This is exciting. I am filming for the first time in like 10 years. Sorry guys, I'm a failure, but we all know it, so it's fine. The new Fenty Beauty, of course it's upside down. Why would it be right side up? My life is upside down. So the new ABH Luminous and the Pro Filter Hydrating Rihanna's gonna kill me. Which side?
Oh my god, easy. Current time 5:05. Correction, 6:30. I found wild berries in the woods. My last source of food. Wish me luck. Also, I'm not sharing the berries with Kim.
So you said you wouldn't share the berries with me, did ya?
We're going through this again, isn't it?
You'd let me die.
Man's gotta survive.
Who did I marry?
A survivalist.